Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Vance. If today is the very first time coming across my channel, please do well to subscribe to my channel. Turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So guys, in today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make this beautiful basque waistline gown with a collar and a bow. So if you're interested in this tutorial, let's get right into it. So guys, for this tutorial, I'll be making use of this Mikado silk fabric. The black of the fabric is 3 yards, while the white I used 1 yard. Although this is half yard for the moment, but I had to get extra half yard, making it 1 yard. But for the thumbnail, on the thumbnail, the style there, they used a poly fabric, but my client wanted a Mikado silk, so that is what we are using for this tutorial. So first of all guys, I've gone ahead to roll out my starting line, after which I'll go ahead and take my vertical measurement, which is my client bust point, which is 10, under bust 13, and the half length, which is 16. And then when I'm done with the half length, I'll go ahead and take the hip line. So the hip line is the full length of our gown, so of our back point. So is the hip line, which is 10 inches. That's what I used for it. So I'll go ahead and mark it out, and I'll use my ruler to rule out the lines to make it more visible. So guys, next thing I'm going to do is to take my client's shoulder measurement, which is 14 divided by 2, give me 7. I came down by 1 inch, I marked it there, and then to get my armhole, I divided my client bust by 6 plus 1.5, and wherever I got, I marked it there. So this line now is my new chest line. So this is my chest line. I'll go ahead and use my ruler to rule the lines out. So when I'm done guys, next thing I'm going to do is to indicate the lines, which is my center front, my bust points, that's BP, my under bust, that's UB, my waistline, that's WL, and then the full length of our backs, or you can call it the hip line. So when I'm done with this guys, I'm going to go ahead and replace my shoulder measurement on the chest line. So I'm replacing the measurement. I'm going to mark 7 just as I did earlier at the starting point. I'm going to use my ruler to straighten the lines. So I'm connecting that 7 inches to the other 7 inches, just like this. So for my armhole, I'm going to divide it by 2, just the way you see me doing. I'm going to fold my tape like this to get my mid armhole. So after I'm done dividing it, I'm going to mark the midpoint, and then from that midpoint, I'm going to come in by ½ inch to eliminate bulges. So from my chest line, I'm going to go ahead and divide my client bust by 4, and then I'll go ahead and mark it that way so that I can connect my armhole line. So I'm connecting these 3 points together to give me my armhole line. After this guys, I'll go ahead and add the nipple to nipple starting from the chest line. So the nipple to nipple is 9. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. I went ahead to mark 4.5 straight down to the full length of this back point. So I'll go ahead and use my ruler to make a straight line, that's to connect the points together. So guys, when I'm done connecting the points together, the next thing I'm going to do on this list is to take from the under bust, I will come in by 0.75. So I'll be using 0.75 for this. Remember, I do not want it to be too curvy, that's why I use 0.75. After I was done marking the 0.75, I'll go ahead and connect it to the full length. So this was me connecting the darts to the full length. So when I'm done guys, I'll still do the same thing. I'll go ahead and give it a curve from the under bust upwards. I'll give it a curve just like this, and then from my mid armhole, I'll be connecting it just the way you see me doing. So I'll use my French curve to give it a curve. This is like a princess that we are using for this tutorial. So when I'm done from the mid armhole, that point, I'm going to come down by 1/2 inch, and then I'll go ahead and connect that 1/2 inch to my bust point, just the way you see me doing. So at this point, guys, I was not satisfied with the way it was curved, so I had to recurve it again so that it would give me what I really need. So this was me when I reconnected it, and then I went ahead to mark out the lines that I will not be using. So when I'm done with this, guys, from that 1/2 inch I came down by, I'm going to mark 1.5 inch so that my fabric will not be short at that point. So from the chest line, I'll go ahead and take my bust point, that's my bust measurement, sorry. Then whatever that I have there, I'm going to replace it after my bust measurement, and then I'll add allowance of 2 inches. So when I'm done with this, so whatever I have on my chest line, I'll repeat it on my bust point. I'll go ahead and mark it there. So I went ahead to mark it there. So for my client's under bust, whatever it was there, I divided it by 4, and then I marked it there. And then the darts, I'll go ahead and replace the darts there just the way you see me doing, and I'll add 2 inches allowance. I'll do the same thing for the waistline. My client waistline divided by 4. I'll replace the darts, check what I have between the darts, I'll replace it, and then I'll add 2 inches allowance. So from that waistline, I'm going to come down by 4.5. This 4.5 depends on what you want. Some people use 2 inches. From their waistline, they will come down by 2 inches, 3 inches, just like that. But for me, I decided to use 4.5. So I went ahead to connect my points together, just the way you see me doing like this. And then I went ahead to connect the under bust to the bust point, then to the chest line, and then I did from the waistline to the under bust. I connected the points together. Then from that 4.5, I'm going to connect it to my center front, just the way you see me doing like this. Connect it just like this. So when I'm done, guys, I'll go ahead and give my armhole a curve, just the way you see me doing. From that 1.5 inches we came up from the mid armhole, I connected the points. So guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to take my neck width. My neck width, I'll be using 3 inches by 3 inches for the front. I use 3 inches by 3 inches for the front because it's a collar. It shouldn't be more than 3 inches, but that's standard for collar is 3 inches by 3 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect my points together just like this, and then I will slant my shoulder. That's my shoulder slope. So when I'm done with this, guys, our front block is ready to cut. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out our front block. So this was me still cutting out. Follow the way I'm cutting it so you'll not have to make mistake in yours. So when I'm done cutting it, guys, I'll go ahead and start drafting my back pattern. So I went ahead to tape down my paper so that it will stay put, and then after which I'll go ahead to rule out my starting line. When I'm done with my starting line, I'll go ahead and take my vertical measurement, which is 16, and then from that 16 I'll come down by 10 inches for the waist, for the full length. So I'll go ahead and use my ruler to rule the points out, just the way you see me doing. When I'm done ruling out the points, I'll go ahead and start marking out my zip allowance. So I'll be using 2 inches for the zip allowance. So I'll mark the 2 inches straight down to the full length of our gown. So I'll go ahead and use my ruler to connect the points together. So when I'm done connecting the points, guys, the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and impute my client's shoulder measurement, which is 14 divided by 2, 7. I marked it. I came down from that 7 by 1 inch. I imputed my client's armhole, which is 7.6. I went ahead to mark it, and then I extended the line to the zip allowance point. So when I'm done with that point, guys, I'm going to go ahead and indicate my chest line, my waistline, and then the full length of our top, or the full length. So from that chest line, guys, I'll go ahead and repeat my shoulder measurement from the chest line. I'll mark it, and then I'll use my ruler to connect the points to the 1 inch shoulder slope I came down by. So when I'm done with this, guys, I'm going to go ahead and mark my bust measurement as my client bust measurement divided by 4 to get my armhole curve. So after I was done connecting the armhole, I'll go ahead and impute my client's nipple to nipple on the chest line, waistline, and the full length. I'll use my ruler to connect the points together because we are still going to have a princess dart for the back. So when I'm done with this, guys, I'll go ahead from the waistline. I'll come in by 1/2 inch on both sides. I'll connect it to the full length, just the way you see me doing. Then I'll connect this from the waistline to the chest line, just like this. While from the chest line point, I'm going to go ahead and divide my armhole line by 2, just the way you see me doing, like this, so that I can extend the princess dart. I'll mark it there, and then from the chest line, I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the mid armhole I marked. So from that mid armhole, I'm going to mark 1 inch for the extension. This is very important so that your fabric or your pattern will not get short at a point. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out this initial armhole line that I marked before. So guys, after which, the next thing I'm going to do is to add my 2 inches allowance, just like this. After my bust point, I'll go ahead and divide my client's waist by 4. I'll mark it there. I'll repeat the dart. I'll mark it, and then I'll add 2 inches allowance again. So from that waistline, guys, I'll still come down by 4.5 inches. I'll use my ruler to connect the points together, just the way you see me doing. So from that 4.5 inch, I'm going to connect it to the full length, just like this, just the way we did for the front. That's the same thing we are going to do for the back. So I went ahead to connect the points together. So to avoid back bulge, from the waistline, I'm going to come in by 0.75. I marked it there, and then I'm going to use my ruler to connect that 0.75 to the full length, just the way you see me doing, and then I'll connect it also to the upper part of our block, just like this, to eliminate bulges. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate zip allowance. So this is our new zip allowance. So when I'm done with this, guys, on the shoulder line, I'm going to impute my back neck width, which is 3 by 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it there, and then I'll connect the points together. So guys, when I'm done connecting, I'll extend that 1 inch like this, and then I'll take my shoulder slope and connect it. So when I'm done, guys, I'll go ahead and cut out. So guys, we are done cutting our back block. So this is it, our zipper part, and then our side back. So the next thing I'm going to do is to introduce our fabric so we can cut. I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 2, and I'll place my back block first, and then I'll go ahead and pin it down so that the fabric and the pattern sheet is going to stay together without having to move. So when I'm done pinning it, guys, I'll go ahead and cut it out. So for this back block, guys, I went ahead to add 1 inch allowance at the full length, just like this. I added allowance of 1 inch. Please, guys, ignore, do not add 1 inch allowance for your own part, because it will make it too long. When I was making this dress, I went ahead to trim out that 1 inch I added initially. So please do not add the 1 inch. It's better that your back is short than it's too long. Now, as I said earlier, it depends on the style you're working with. So I'll go ahead and fold my fabric again to cut the side front of our back block. So I'll place the pattern on the fabric, and then I'll go ahead and also pin it down so that the fabric and the pattern sheet will stay together. So when I'm done pinning, I will go ahead and cut it. I also did the same thing for all of it. Like, I added 1 inch allowance for the full length of our pattern. Please do not add 1 inch for your full length, so that you will not have to start losing again because your client is saying it's too long or it's too short. It's better that it's even moderate than it's long. So I added 1 inch here, guys. Do not add 1 inch here. I'm really emphasizing on this part because I do not want you to make the mistake that I made. So I want you to avoid the mistakes. Let your backs not be too long. If it's too long, it will be funny. So when I was done cutting, guys, I also folded the fabric again to cut out our front block. So this is for the front. I had to adjust the fabric because it was too much. So I went ahead to pin down. After pinning down, I went ahead to cut it. So this was me cutting. Guys, do not add this 1 inch I added down. I don't know, I'm just really emphasizing on this part because I do not want you to make that mistake that I made. So this is me cutting our side front. So I folded my fabric again. I'm arranging it so that I'll be able to manage the material well. Remember, we are doing a gather around the backs, so you need enough gather. The more you gather the dress, the more beautiful it is. So go ahead and cut. So for the side belt, guys, I went ahead to fold my fabric into two, just like this, and then I'll go ahead and cut out my belt. For my belt width, guys, I'll be making use of 2.5 inches, but you can actually use 2 inches, but I decided to use 2.5 inches so that when I sew it by ½ inch, it's going to remain 2 inches. Why for the length, I did not measure any length that I needed. I just cut it out like that. You can measure if you want between 25 inches to 30, but I did not measure the length. So I went ahead to place the other one on it like this, and then I'll go ahead and cut the same shape that I cut initially to cut the other belt. So when I'm done cutting the belt, guys, next thing I'm going to do is to introduce our gather. So this gather, I've already cut it out. I've gone ahead to overlock the upper part. For the length of this gather, I used 24 inches. Another error that I had was 24 inches that I used. Please guys, use between 18 inches. 18 inches is perfect, because at the end of the day, I had to reduce the length of the gather. So this was me opening up, because this is how I'm going to pleat it. Remember guys, let me repeat, use between 18 to 20 inches for your gather length. So guys, this is the white fabric I'm going to use for my bow. So for the bow is actually 3-step bow. So for the first length, I use 10 inches by 10 inches. So the width 10 inches, the length 10 inches. So I went ahead to mark it out, and then I cut it out. I'll be cutting two pieces of each of them for the sewing. So I've cut out the first piece, that's the first 10 inches. I'll go ahead and place this 10 inches on this part like this, and then I'll go ahead and cut out just the way you see me doing. So I'm cutting out our first 10 inches. So this one will serve as both lining and fabric. So this is how I'm going to gather it, just like this, form a bow. So for the other one, I'll be using 8 by 8. Initially I used 7 by 7, but I realized that I don't want it to be too far from each other, so I had to now add extra inch. So extra 1 inch. So I use 7 here, but then I changed it to 8 while I was cutting. So 8 by 8 is fine. So are you seeing where I added extra 1 inch while I was cutting? I did the same thing for the down part. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the lining part. At this point guys, if you found value in my video, please do well to hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel, and then hit on the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. And please guys, do well to like my video, leave a comment in the comment section if you have any questions you want to ask me, and I'll be right there to respond to your questions or to any compliment you want to give to me. So the last bow I'll be making use of 6 by 6. So the length is 6 and the width is 6, making it 6 by 6 for the last bow. So guys, I'll also cut both fabric and lining together. So in our next tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how I made this gown. It's actually beautiful. Yeah, so for the bow, I'm going to cut 4 pieces. Remember that the bow was attached on both sides of the gown, so I'm going to cut 4 pieces of each of it. So this is how the bow is going to form. I'm going to go ahead and fold my fabric like this to cut out first the 10 inches, the first 10 inches that I cut. So I'm going to go ahead and cut them out. Thank you so much guys for staying to the end of my tutorial. I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.